Good. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. I'd like to call this Committee of Adjustment hearing to order now. Tonight we have 11 applications we will be hearing, and the following will be the procedure for tonight's hearing. First, there are copies of the notices on the desk in front and at back of the room for your reference. Okay, and a couple of housekeeping items. Please turn off your cell phones or place them in silent mode. And when asking questions, please address the question through the chair, not to the person being questioned. Okay? All right. The first order of business will be for the committee members to disclose any pecuniary interests or conflicts of interest with the applications on tonight's agenda. A request will be made for any deferrals or withdrawals of the applications on the agenda. The committee's secretary-treasurer will read out each application noted on the agenda with a brief description and staff recommendation. The application or agent for the applicant will be asked to step forward to the table at the front, the podium over here. They will push the red button when they do. They will be asked to introduce themselves and be allowed a short overview explaining the details or additional information with regard to why the application is being made, if desired. Members of the committee will then have an opportunity to ask the applicant any questions they may have, followed by any members of the public who wish to speak to this application. Any members of the public wishing to speak to the application will be asked to come forward, state their name and address, and limit their comments to 10 minutes, and must present all questions or comments pertinent to the application in that time frame. Persons making a presentation may not necessarily be allowed to return again to speak to the application. So it's important to get all you need to say out in that 10 minutes. Okay. Following all comments, the applicant will be afforded a closing comment if desired. The committee will then present a decision in the form of a motion. The motion will be discussed and voted upon. If a vote is tied, the motion will be defeated and a new motion will be made. If a motion is defeated, new motions will be made until a decision has been reached. Notice of decision will only be provided to those persons who leave their names and addresses in writing with the Secretary-Treasurer. There is a sign-in sheet at the back of the room for this purpose. And for persons viewing online, you can email diana.vasu@portcolborne.ca. That's Diana, D-I-A-N-A .vasu, V-A-S-U, @portcolborne.ca. Or call 905-835-2900, extension 211, immediately following the hearing, and leave a message. It is also noted. It should also be noted that in order to be kept advised of any possible Ontario Land Tribunal hearings, persons must request and be sent a copy of this committee's decision on the application. Trusting everyone understands the process, I would like to ask for any conflicts for tonight's applications. Okay, so I'm asking for any conflicts for tonight. Eric?
Yeah, through you, Ms. Chair. I have a conflict on application B12-23-PC as it's an indirect pecuniary interest as I'm employed by a former agent of the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So that's item 5.4. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, Eric, your conflict is noted. All right. Seeing no more, Madam Secretary, please read out the first application.
Through as a point of order, I believe the next part was to request any deferrals or withdrawals of the applications.
Yeah, that actually ended up, I was going to be reading that during the, when each application arises.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So, okay, then at this time I'd like to just raise as a point of order to alter the agenda. I'd like to bring a motion forward to move B12-23-PC to the end of the items, as well as B07-23-PC. So those are items 5.4 and 5.6 on the agenda.
So you would like 5.4 and 5.6 moved to
The end.
to the end in that order?
So B 5.4 to be last.
5.4 would be last? So,
Yes.
all right. Madam Secretary,
Sorry, so B12 is last?
Correct.
B12 would be last.
The one I have a
5.4
conflict on.
Okay. The one he has a conflict on would be the last one. So you get to leave early? Yeah. Members, anything to say to this?
The other one was was B07-23-PC, which is item 5.6.
It's important to note that the 5.4 B12-23-PC, I believe that's the one application that has quite a few delegates to speak to it, correct?
Correct.
You have no problem with that? Gary?
Well, I guess just in past practice, usually when there's a full gallery, we bring forward the one that the most people are here for, rather than have them wait till the end.
It usually is, yes. So
Unless there's do you have
Well, so you traditionally, well, you could say that, or these other applications would be relatively quick, and the other one will hold up a lot of the other applications based on the amount of delegations that are present. And therefore, there'll be a lot of applicants waiting, potentially. So,
should we take this to a vote?
Or I don't have a feel for the crowd, whether people want to stay till the end, or if the most people are here for the front. I'll put the interest of the most people here to the front.
Okay,
Can
yeah,
have
we
a
can-
vote on it, sure.
Well, maybe we should poll the gallery and,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Ask them, first of all, how many people here are going to be speaking to application B12-23-PC? Okay,
well, it's
so
not the majority.
4. And
That's
how
fine.
about application B7-23-PC? 2. So the 2 that are being moved have this many, and then we have a group of people right here that are speaking to other ones.
I'm not here to speak, I'm just here to see if you'll support my application.
Okay, all right. So some of them are
I'm
the
happy
applicants.
to go with Eric. It seems like there's only 4 of the whole
Yeah,
group.
a lot of them are applicants.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, all right.
that's fine. Yeah.
All right, so you guys are in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay. And Dave, you have no objection? All right, so Madam Secretary, we'll move that? Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, having that business taken care of, we'll move on to item 5, new business, with Madam Secretary introducing the first application.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. On the agenda tonight, as mentioned, we have 8 consent applications and 3 minor variance applications. Notice of the consent applications was circulated to the public on May 31st, 2023, and notice of the minor variance applications was circulated to the public on or before June 2nd, 2023. The required agencies received notice of all the applications on May 15th, 2023, and a recommendation report for each application was prepared by planning staff and made publicly available on June 9th, 2023. All correspondence received by June 9th was addressed in the recommendation reports. Those interested can view the recommendation reports online on the city's website or in person at City Hall. Those interested may also contact planning staff in person, by email, or over the phone to obtain a copy of the reports. Accommodations for alternative methods of viewing or obtaining the recommendation reports are available upon request. Please note the current zoning bylaw in effect is the City of Port Colborne zoning bylaw 6575/30/18 as amended, which I will be referring to from here on as the zoning bylaw. Our first application for tonight is A11-23-PC. The subject lands are municipally known as 38 Church Street in the R2 zone. The applicant, Victor Denobriga, is requesting relief from section 2.8.1A II of the zoning bylaw to permit the construction of a garage which is 7.3 meters in height, whereas the maximum permitted height for an accessory structure is 6 meters. Given the information in the recommendation report, planning staff recommend application A11-23-PC be granted for the following reasons. Number 1, the application is minor in nature. Number 2, it is appropriate for the development of the site. Number 3, it is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. Number 4, it is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan. And that concludes the correspondence of this application. I'm not a commissioner, so we make them sign an affidavit during the application, so.
So that should cover it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, I just wanted to be sure of that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Welcome. Could you state your name and address, please?
Victor Denobriga, 38 Church Street, Port Colborne.
Thank you, sir. Okay. What would you like to tell us tonight?
I'm applying for a minor variance for the height restriction on a storage garage.
Okay. Members, any questions? None? Seeing none? Member Beauregard?
Through the chair to the applicant, so you're looking for a height restriction of 7.3 meters. Based on your application, I believe the reason for it is because the building plan is larger than the limits. What is the proposed structure being used for? 7.3 meters. Is there going to be a second story to it? Is there, what can you elaborate?
Yes, to the chair, the height restriction is for a loft above the storage unit. So it's a single floor garage with a storage loft on top.
And through you, to the chair, is this going to be an accessory dwelling unit?
No, it's not. It's just mainly for storage for winter stuff, extra stuff around the house.
Okay.
That everything? Thank you. Member Bruno?
Thank you. I was by there. It looks like you're doing a lot of reno and work there. This is still staying residential use?
Sorry, Chair, the house is staying residential use. The storage garage is just a storage garage. My son races race cars,
Okay.
so he needs somewhere in there to fix the vehicle.
Okay, thank you, Member Bruno. No other questions. Would anyone from the public have any questions? No? Okay, hearing none. I guess that's it. I don't have the form to follow, but we'll go from there. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now. Any motions?
Sure.
Member Bruno?
Thank you. I'd like to move the application. With respect to application A1123PC, the land is legally known as Plan 1761, New Plan 772, Lot 8, municipally known as 38 Church Street, that a minor application A1123PC be granted for the following reasons. The application is minor in nature as the proposed structure is located behind the existing dwelling with permissible distance from the lot lines and does not exceed the height of the main dwelling, ensuring the garage remains accessory in nature. It is appropriate for the development of the site as the proposed structure is a permitted use in the R2 zone, complies with most zoning bylaw requirements, and will be built in the rear yard setback from the front yard line and behind the existing dwelling, resulting in reduced visual impact from the road. 3, it is desirable in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, as the proposed structure meets the lot coverage requirements established in the R2 zone and does not exceed the main dwelling's height, thus remaining accessory in nature to the primary dwelling and maintaining the intention of the zoning bylaw. 4 is desirable in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan, as accessory structures are permitted in the urban residential designation established in the official plan.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Member Elliott? Thank you, and, all right, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, so we'll now move on to the next application, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Our next item is application B05-23-PC. The subject lands are municipally known as 242 and 244 Humboldt Parkway in the R2 zone. The applicant, Grant Anger, is requesting the committee's consent to sever the subject lands to create a new lot and facilitate the splitting of an existing semi-detached dwelling. Given the information in the planning recommendation report, planning staff recommend application B05-23-PC be granted subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the applicant provides the Secretary-Treasurer with the deeds in triplicate for the conveyance of the subject parcel, or a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with a paper copy and electronic copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. 2, that a final certification fee of $231 payable to the City of Port Colborne is submitted to the Secretary-Treasurer. Number 3, that the applicant submits a master lot grading plan showing that both parcels will drain independently from one another and not adversely affect neighboring properties to the satisfaction of city staff. Number 4, that all conditions of consent be completed by June 14th, 2025. And that concludes the correspondence of this application.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Is the applicant in the room? Mr. Anger, would you come forward? Could you state your name and address, please?
Okay, Grant Anger, at 142 Lametti Drive, Font Hill.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there anything you would like to add?
No, it's a totally new semi, and with a building permit that's been issued by the City of Port Colborne. And the grading plan has been submitted by Don Chambers' office to the city.
Okay.
And anything else we'll meet.
Is that everything that you would like us to know?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Committee, any committee members have any questions? Seeing no questions, I would ask for members of the public, anyone like to speak to this? None? Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Anger.
thank you.
All right, I ask for a motion. Member Beauregard?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Ms. Chair. In application B05-23-PC, and in the matter of the lands legally known as registered plan number 836, lot 366, part of lot 365, municipally known as 242 and 244 Humboldt Parkway, that consent application B05-23-PC be granted subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report dated June 9, 2023. For the following reasons: the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the regional official plan, City of Port Colborne official plan, and will also comply with the provisions of zoning bylaw 6575/30/18 as amended.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Member Bruno? All right. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And we'll now move on to item 5.3, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. The applicant for this application is joining virtually, so I will admit him now. Oh, sorry. The applicant will be joining us virtually. He's just been admitted into the Zoom room here. John, can you hear us? Maybe. Confused. My apologies. From mixing around the agenda here, I got a little bit mixed up on my my agenda on my computer. So the next item on our agenda tonight is application B11-23-PC. I see some nods. The subject lands are municipally known as 36 and 38 Page Street in the R2 zone. The applicant, Andre Gagnon, is requesting the committee's consent to sever the subject lands to create a new lot and facilitate the splitting of an existing semi-detached dwelling. Given the information in the recommendation report, planning staff recommend application B11-23-PC be granted, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the applicant provides the Secretary-Treasurer with the deeds in triplicate for the conveyance of the subject parcel or a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with a paper copy and electronic copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Number 2, that a final certification fee of $231 payable to the City of Port Colborne is submitted to the Secretary-Treasurer. Number 3, that all conditions of consent be completed by June 14th, 2025. Number 4, that a revised grading plan be submitted to the satisfaction of City staff. And that concludes the correspondence of this application.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Is the applicant in the room? No, seeing no one. All right. Do members have any comments or questions? Yeah. To staff, maybe? Yeah. Member Beauregard.
Through you, Madam Chair, to planning staff, Chris. So I'm seeing here a sketch, separate sketch when this is an existing building. So the last application, for example, had showed a reference plan. This one's showing a sketch, and I just want to know whether or not they had the surveyor actually attend the property and shoot the existing dwellings, since it's an existing structure.
Through you, Mrs. Chair, to Member Beauregard. Sorry, you're asking. I'm just trying to pull the sketch up here as well.
I don't think you'll be able to answer it because this would be a question that.
Yeah, you're asking if the surveyor went to the property.
If they actually was field verified, because my concern would be that we do this, we approve it, but then it's not actually reflective of the actual dimensions.
Right. When they come to register their reference plan, it'll need to be accurate to what was granted as well. So if they come and deposit a reference plan that shows a frontage that doesn't match what was approved, then they're going to have issues.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's what I figured.
Is that okay? Any other questions or comments, concerns? None? Seeing none? I would ask for a motion. Member Bruno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With respect to application 81123, the lands legally known registered plan 785, lot 19, formerly in the municipality of Humberson, municipally known as 36 and 38 Page Street. Consent to application B1123 PC be granted subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report dated June 9th, 2023. for the following reasons. One, the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the regional official plan, City of Port Colborne official plan, and will also comply with the provisions of the zoning bylaw 6575/30/18 as amended.
Thank you, Member Bruno. Do I have a seconder? Member Elliott? All right, thank you. And all in favor? That's carried. And we'd now move on to item 5.5. Am I correct there? Okay, Madam Secretary, it's all yours.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Our next item is application B06-23-PC, where our applicant, John, is joining us online for real this time. John, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Thank you. Just minimize that. The subject lands are municipally known as 336 Sugarloaf Street in the R1 zone. The applicant, John Truong, is requesting the committee's consent to sever the subject lands to create a new lot for future residential use. Given the information in the recommendation report, planning staff recommend application B06-23-PC be granted, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the applicant provides the Secretary-Treasurer with the deeds in triplicate for the conveyance of the subject parcel or a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with a paper copy and electronic copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Number 2, that a final certification fee of $231 payable to the City of Port Colborne is submitted to the Secretary-Treasurer. Number 3, that the applicant signs the City of Port Colborne's standard memorandum of understanding explaining that development charges and cash in lieu of the dedication of land for park purposes based on an appraisal at the expense of the applicant, wherein the value of the land is to be determined as of the day before the issuance of a building permit, is required prior to the issuance of a building permit pursuant to Section 42 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 as amended. Number 4, that a revised grading plan be submitted to the satisfaction of city staff. Number 5, that all conditions of consent be completed by June 14th, 2025. And that concludes the correspondence of this application.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I would ask the applicant to, just for the record, state his name and address, please, and then provide us with any information you would like the committee to have.
Yeah, my name is John Trung. I live in Brampton, 4 Misty Glen Crescent.
Thank you. And what would you like the committee, what information would you like to give the committee tonight?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I was just looking for the consent application to sever this lot to be able to build 2 single dwelling homes on it.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions?
Planning staff, if I could, just a planning staff.
Okay.
Yep.
Member Bruno?
Through you to our planner. Chris, was this property up before us at one time in the past after the house was torn down, or was that just that there was 2 for sale signs on it? I thought it had come before us.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Member Bruno. Not to my knowledge, at least not in my time
Okay.
at the planning department. So there's a possibility that it had come before us, but what can happen, let's just say, for example, it did come before you a number of years ago, and it was severed and the lots had merged back together on title if they're registered under the same name. Like one of our later applications, that was the case. So it's quite possible that you could have seen it before and the property's just merged on title.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Bruno. Any other questions to staff or to the applicant? Okay, seeing none, I would ask the public, thank you. I would ask the public if they have any concerns or questions. Could you come forward, please? And just when you do, state your name and address first, please. Just push the little red button on the desk right there. Okay.
Hi, my name is Gloria Beers, and I live at 334 Sugarloaf, and I believe that's the side you're going to be developing first. So I just wanted to know what side your driveway is going to be at, because my bedroom window is on that side, and it's something that I would like you to consider. If you could put it on the other side, that would be great. Another thing is, I don't know the building laws, but are you building so many feet from my fence line or so many feet from my house? That's another thing I'd like to know.
Okay, thank you. I would actually have our
Marilyn,
planner maybe speak to some of this, and the applicant can also take part of
Sure.
this.
Yep. Through you, Madam Chair.
Stay right there, yeah.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, to the residents. So with regards to the driveway, obviously it would be nice if the applicant could hear your concerns. However, there are no planning laws that state that they have to put the driveway on one side or the other. Yeah.
Asking for some consideration.
Yeah, and with regards to the location of the building, there are setbacks that they will have to follow with regards to where the building is located. So they will have a 1 meter setback from the interior side yard. So that would be the property line facing your property.
Yeah, okay. And I also have a card here for an arborist who removes trees, because I know there's a lot of trees on that lot that need to be removed, and it needs to be cleaned up. And that's one of the things that really bothered me over the last 8 years that I've lived there, is there was no maintenance done to that property. And here's a card, here's his business card. He's a good guy, and he is comparable to Davies tree removal. Okay?
Okay, if you just want to hold on a minute, we'll get some answers for you,
Oh, okay.
hopefully.
All right.
Okay, as to the trees, is there anything we can do as a city, or should that be something done by the owner as a...
To you, Madam Chair, we would have to check we have a tree bylaw enforced by our bylaw department. If they are in, I'm not too well versed with that bylaw, it's not a zoning bylaw, but I believe that if they are in disrepair, they're dying, or possibly could like fall on somebody's property, that kind of thing, then we might have due course to remove them, or ask the owner to remove them. However, if they aren't in poor condition, we can't force them to remove the trees.
Okay, could we maybe have an undertaking to follow through and see where we stand on that and get back to the speaker?
To you, Madam Chair. Yeah, we can look into the bylaw and we can send them a copy.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Will
I'd
that
appreciate
be okay
that.
there?
It's a long time in coming.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll ask Mr. Truong while you're still here. Mr. Truong, is there anything that you can do to help with the location of the driveway, or is that set in stone, as you will? Did we lose him? We might have lost him. Okay.
He's still on the feet.
Is he still on the feet? Okay. Okay, Mr. Truong?
Maybe just lean closer.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, Madam Chair.
That's
There's a lot
okay.
of actors, so I couldn't hear what you said.
Okay, what I'm asking is there anything you can do to help the speaker with the location of the driveway?
And you shut off your mic.
Sorry. All right, sorry, Mr. Trump. Is there anything you can do to help the speaker with the location of the driveway? Can that be changed, or is that a done deal?
Yeah, so right now I'm having my architect take a look at the preliminary site plan to see if we can, have the two single dwellings mirrored so that the driveways face each other. So that's the
that's
plan
good.
right now.
That's perfect. Thank you.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump.
Okay. And the trees, maybe mention to him that we're going to have the city.
Well, the staff will actually follow through and get back to you on where
Okay.
that stands.
Thank
So is
you.
that everything? You
That's
okay with that?
everything. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that has anything to say to this application? Okay, seeing no one, maybe we could get the red button and I'll... Thanks, Gary. Okay. So, Having heard all of this, do I have a motion? Councilor, or Member Elliott.
You stand corrected. I'll move application B06-23-PC. The matter of the lands legally known as Plan 3761, New Plan 776, part of Block D, and municipally known as 336 Sugarloaf Street. That consent application B06-23-BC be granted subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report dated June 9th, 2023. For the following reasons, the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the regional official plan, City of Port Colborne official plan, and will also comply with the provisions of zoning bylaw 6575/30/18 as amended.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Member Beauregard? Okay, all in favor? That would be carried. All right, thank you so much. We'll move on now to application B08-23-PC. That will be Madam Chair, or Madam Secretary will speak to that.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Our next item is applications 808-23-PC and B09-23-PC. The subject lands for both applications are municipally known as a vacant lot on Omer Avenue and are both in the R4 zone. The subject lands of application B08-23-PC are legally known as Plan 831, part of lots 28 to 31, while the subject lands of application B09-23-PC are legally known as Plan 831, part of Garlinda Avenue. The applicant, Wesley Visler, and their agent, Brian Miller, are requesting the committee's permission for 2 lot boundary adjustments. In accordance with their submitted sketch, application B08-23-PC proposes to sever Part 1 from Part 2, then merge Part 1 with Part 3, while application B09-23-PC proposes to sever Part 4 from Part 3, then merge Part 2 with Part 4. Given the information in the recommendation reports, planning staff recommend applications B08-23-PC and B09-23-PC be granted for the following, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the applicant provides the Secretary-Treasurer with the deeds in triplicate for the conveyance of the subject parcel or a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with the paper copy and electronic copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Number 2, that a final certification fee of $231 payable to the City of Port Colborne is submitted to the Secretary-Treasurer. Number 3, that a master lot grading plan be submitted to the satisfaction of City staff. Number 4, that all conditions of consent be completed by June 14th, 2025. And it should be noted that both consent applications have those same conditions, as each application is separate. So that concludes the correspondence of these applications.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay. Do we have the applicant in the room? We don't. Is the applicant available online? No? All right. So, again, any questions or concerns by the members? No? Hearing none? Anyone in the public have anything to speak to this application or these applications? Yes, come to the podium, please. Just push the red button and state your name and address, please.
Hi, it's Pauline Fennick. I live at 318. Well, actually, okay, do you want where I live or the property in concern?
Probably where you live, and then you can speak to
okay, 31870 Highway number 3 in Wainfleet. It's not really in the section that they're talking about. It's just I have only a concern. I own lot 20. Like if you look at that little map that I got, so I own lot 20. So I'm just wondering, does any of this have any effect on my lot that I own lot 20?
I would actually ask planning to address that.
Sure. Through you, Madam Chair, to the resident. In effect, no, this application doesn't affect lot 20.
Okay.
It affects lots 21 through 28 and a little bit of the properties on Omer Avenue.
Okay.
It's just a technical amendment, or not amendment, but technical application, just to adjust some property lines. So there's no physical development being proposed at this time. It's just to change some of the locations of the property lines.
Okay. So any questions, if we have anything to do with Sherwood Forest Lane, that's when I would have a concern for anything. I'm just wondering, does it have a difference of where the sewer lines are going to go on Sherwood Forest? That's one question I kind of have.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the resident, so the application doesn't have
Anything to do with that?
anything to do with any,
Okay.
sewer or water proposals right now. When development is proposed at a later date, the applicant, whoever is going to be proposing the development, would need to extend sewer and water services.
Okay, now with that, so you don't know nothing about that. Would they be going through the Sherwood Forest up to Elmwood?
Through you,
Elm
Madam
Street?
Chair, we don't have any record
Nothing.
of that at this
Okay.
point, no.
So it's just still early? Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that satisfy your
Yeah,
concerns?
that's fine.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak to this? None, seeing none, I'll look for a motion, please. Councillor, or Member Bruno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With application BOA 23, the land's legally known as Plan A31, part of lots 2831, municipally known as vacant lot on Omer Avenue. The consent application BOA 23 PC be granted subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report dated June 9th, 2023. For the following reasons, the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms to the growth plan for the greater Golden Horseshoe. The regional official plan, City of Port Colborne official plan, will also comply with the provisions of the zoning bylaw 6575/30/18 as amended.
Okay, thank you. And a seconder, Member Bogart, thank you. I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you.
Go ahead with the next one.
Okay.
I didn't do them together. Do you want me to do the 0923? I didn't do them together.
Oh, sorry, I thought you did do them together. We'll go for
But
it
because they were so
together.
short, I didn't.
Carry on.
With respect to application B0923 PC, lands legally known Plan 831, part of Garlinda Avenue, municipally known as a vacant lot on Omer Avenue. The consent application B0923 PC be granted subject to conditions outlined in the staff report dated June 9th, 2023 for the following reasons. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the growth plan for the greater Golden Horseshoe, the regional official plan, City of Port Colborne official plan, will also comply with the provisions of the zoning bylaw 6575/30/18 as amended.
Okay, thank you. Member Bogart, you'll second that? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, Madam Secretary, we can now move on to item 5.8, and there are 3 applications there for you to read. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next item for tonight is applications B10-23-PC, A12-23-PC, and A13-23-PC. The subject lands for all 3 applications are municipally known as 510 Main Street West in the mixed-use zone. In application B10-23-PC, the applicant Susan Ninadovich and their agent Joseph Tomeno are requesting the committee's consent to sever the subject lands to create a new lot for future residential use. Both the severed and retained lots require the following minor variances. In application A12-23-PC, the applicants are requesting relief from section 21.6B and F of the zoning bylaw to permit a minimum lot area of 489.03 meters squared, whereas 500 meters squared is required, and a minimum rear yard of 2.04 meters, whereas 6 meters is required, to Part 1 of their severance sketch. In application A13-23-PC, the applicants are requesting relief from section 21.4A and C of the zoning bylaw to permit a minimum lot frontage of 10.35 meters, whereas 12 meters is required, and a minimum lot area of 251 meters squared, whereas 400 meters squared is required, to Part 2 of their severance sketch. Given the information in the recommendation reports, planning staff recommend application A12-23-PC and A13-23-PC be granted for the following reasons. Number 1, the applications are minor in nature. Number 2, they are appropriate for the development of the site. Number 3, they are desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. Number 4, they are desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan. Given the information in the recommendation report, planning staff also recommends application B10-23-PC be granted subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the applicant provides the Secretary-Treasurer with the deeds in triplicate for the conveyance of the subject parcel or a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with a paper copy and electronic copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Number 2, that a final certification fee of $231 payable to the City of Port Colborne is submitted to the Secretary-Treasurer. Number 3, that a master lot grading plan be submitted to the satisfaction of City staff. Number 4, that the applicant provides a revised sight line assessment to the region of Niagara for review and approval to determine the location of the driveway for the new lot. Number 5, that the applicant signs the City of Port Colborne's standard memorandum of understanding explaining that development charges and cash in lieu of the dedication of land for park purposes based on an appraisal at the expense of the applicant, wherein the value of the land is to be determined as of the day before the issuance of a building permit, is required prior to the issuance of a building permit pursuant to Section 42 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, as amended. Number 6, that minor variance applications A12-23-PC and A13-23-PC be granted. And number 7, that all conditions of consent be completed by June 14th, 2025. And that concludes the correspondence of these applications.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I would ask that, is the applicant, Mr. Tomato?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. If you would bring forward, or come forward and state your name and...
Joseph Tomato, 127 Aqueduct Street, Welland, Ontario.
Yes.
Do you want me to speak to all three applications at once?
Actually, what I would like you to do is speak to them separately. Reference the application you're speaking to, please, because there's a lot involved here.
Okay, I'll go the reverse. I'll speak to the consent application first.
Okay, that's good.
So the consent application is for a single detached dwelling on a new lot, and the approximately 10.5 meters fronting on Main Street West. In submission of this application, a planning justification brief was done by myself and signed as a registered professional planner, and I reviewed staff's report and I concur with staff's recommendations and the conditions imposed by staff.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the members? And this is to the first application, the severance. Have a vote.
Sorry, through you, to the applicant, the agent of the applicant anyways, was there any comments regarding from Ministry of Transportation or anything like that on this file?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Member Beauregard, there were comments from the MTO. If I'm not mistaken, they should have been in the report there. It's just that the location of the site is within their permit control area, and that's about it. So they'll need to apply for MTO building permits when the time comes for building permits on part 2.
Is that everything? Yep, okay. Any other questions here? Member Elliott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through to the presenter. Just a couple of concerns. I did not see on the sketch of the new lot, there's no driveway shown on the sketch. Is there going to be a driveway into the lot?
Yes, there will be a driveway onto the lot, and based on the sightline assessment, the driveway will be to the east.
Okay. And I guess another concern that I had was I'm glad to see obviously that there's a lot grading plan, because the newly created lot seems to be topographically a lot lower than the 2 neighboring lots. Well, the lot that it's with now, and then the neighbor to the west, it looks like it's like a lot lower than the other 2. So they both seem to drain onto the low area where this lot is going to be created, and just looking to make sure that that's corrected during construction.
Noted.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the members? All right, that is on the severance application. So I think it would probably be best for us to deal with the severance application first and then move into the other, because the others have more questions around it. Okay, so I'll be looking for any comments or concerns from the gallery. Members of the public, none? Okay, then I would be looking for a motion, please. This is on the severance, B1023-PC. Member Beauregard?
Yeah, application B10-23-PC, and in the matter of the lands legally known, registered plan 797 lots 111 and 112, the city of Port Colborne, located in the mixed use MU zone, municipally known as 510 Main Street West. That consent application B10-23-PC be granted, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report dated June 9th, 2023. For the following reasons, the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the regional official plan, City of Port Colborne official plan, and will also comply with the provisions of zoning bylaw 6575-30/18.
Do I have a seconder? Member Elliott? All right, and all in favor? That is carried. All right, so we will now move on to, we'll split these as well, and we'll move on to speaking to application A1223-PC. We'll do that first. And Mr. Chimeno, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
For the application A12?
Yep.
No, the only thing I'll add that similar comments, the planning justification brief was submitted, and the application meets the 4 test, and the considering the variances, the lot coverage is maintained at only 25%, so there's plenty of open space to compensate for those variances.
Thank you. Members, any questions or concerns around this one? We're dealing with A1223-PC. Seeing none, I would ask for members of the public, anyone to speak to this? Seeing none, I guess we're looking for a motion. Member Bruno?
Thank you. This is A12, right, Madam Chair? Yes. With respect to application A1223PC of the lands legally known as Registered Plan 797, lots 111 and 112, municipally known as 510 Main Street West. Minor application variance A1223PC be granted for the following reasons. The application is minor in nature, as requested variances would not significantly affect the property side nor adjacent properties. Amenity space is still available in the corner side yard, and the rear side yard setback variance is due to the consent application redesignating the existing side yard into a new rear yard of the proposed parcel. It is appropriate for the development of the site, as the requested variance facilitates the creation of a new lot with sufficient amenity space and landscaped area along the corner side yard for the subject lot, which is consistent with the surrounding residential dwellings and lots of similar size. 3, it is desirable in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, as the requested variances align with the parcel fabrication of the surrounding properties, and the existing dwelling setbacks, driveway, and amenity space provisions are intended to provide adequate room and amenity space for residents, which staff are satisfied are all maintained. 4, it is desirable in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan, as the proposed development and minor variance application are consistent with the scale of developments in the neighborhood, the nature of the community, and thus the requested variances align with general intent and purpose of the downtown commercial official plan designation.
Thank you, Member Bruno. Can I get a seconder on this? Member Elliott? Thank you, and I would call the question. All in favor? This motion is carried. All right, we'll now move on to A1323-PC. And Mr. Chimino, if there's anything you'd like to say about that?
Yes, just a few comments. The variances for this application are for the lot frontage and the lot area. We're not requesting any reductions in setbacks, and maintaining a lot coverage of 37%. So there's plenty of amenity space for this lot, even though there's a reduction in lot size. And it also meets the 4 test as the planning report I submitted on this application and staff's report. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions or concerns? Yeah. Okay, I would just like to say that it's a pretty extreme departure to what we're used to. We're seeing the permitted space drop to almost half. That's a lot. And when you go up there and look at it, it starts tightening up to the point where I don't know that we want to see that. But in any case, it's there, and it will be up to the committee to make a decision on that. It's very tight, though. Do we have? I would ask our planner: are there any other properties in Port Colborne that would be similar to this?
To you, Madam Chair. Yeah, there are examples of properties like this, even in the surrounding area. If you look around the corner, even on the sketch here, immediately south is a lot that is comparable in size. It might not be exactly 250 square meters, but it's in that range of 250 to probably 280 square meters. So it is pretty consistent with the trend that we're seeing of smaller infill lots. The only difference with this one is that it's located on Main Street West.
Okay, thank you. I would agree that there are a couple of lots in that area that are like that. It just when I was there, I took a look at it. You get that inner city feeling that just didn't really fit what I think of Port Colborne. But anyway, that's fine. Okay, I would. Member Elliott.
No, sorry. Now that the chair brought it up, I had the same concerns too. Was the size of the lot, but then I looked at the photo or the house that you plan to build on it. So I went to that site to investigate the house a little bit more, and I kind of had my fears alleviated from what possibly could have been there to what the plan of that house looked like. So that kind of gave me a sense of, well, it'll be well done. I hope that that floor plan is something that the owners were looking at. And I get, my concern too was the frontage. And it's okay to build without any variances on already existing lots of undersize. It's newly created lots now that must be the old school 40 feet frontage that you have to get a variance for. So we are getting smaller lots, but with more affordable housing if that's what it takes. So yeah, that's what it is. But I'm just was glad when I saw what the design of the house could be that was going to be built on that lot.
Through you, Madam Chair, can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
That's exactly why we maintaining the setbacks. There's no variances for the setbacks. Therefore, the scale of the building is going to match the scale of the lot. So there should be no issue.
Yeah. Thank you. Member Bruno.
Just a comment on that. I was interested before this came up, looking at some of the lots that were built on Lake Knoll in Oakwood, and I couldn't remember consents. And that's because in Humberston, those were the size of the lots. There were no consents. They were like that. And once they're built out, they don't actually look that bad, the new ones mixed in. But I think it is just something that we're not used to. So maybe history is really just repeating itself from 60 or 80 years ago.
Entirely possible, Councillor. Member Bruno. My concern is that if we're going to allow very small lots that way, we have to make sure that they're very high quality built, because that's where you lose the look of the city. So, in any case, there is that. Thank you so much. Anybody from the public have anything to say? No? All right. I would. I didn't already. I'm getting mixed up on my applications here. So I would ask for a motion, please, on this one. Member Elliott?
Just so we get the right one, this is 13. Sorry, this is 13.
Yeah.
I'll move application A13-23-PC, and in the matter of the lands legally known as Registered Plan 797 lots 111 to 112, and municipally known as 510 Main Street West, that minor variance application A13-23-PC be granted for the following reasons. The application is minor in nature, as the requested variances appear to be suitable for the building envelope, offer sufficient amenities and landscape space, and the surrounding parcels on Main Street and Oakwood Street are of similar size. 2, it is appropriate for the development of the site as the requested variances will facilitate proposed residential construction, the maintenance of the existing duplex, and reflect the nature of the surrounding dwellings and lots. 3, it is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw as the requested variances and the proposed building envelope allow for sufficient amenity and landscape space, meet setback requirements, provide adequate parking space, and the reduction in lot area will not adversely affect adjacent properties, thereby keeping with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. 4, it is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan, as a proposed development and minor variance application are consistent with the scale of developments in the neighborhood, the nature of the community, and thus the requested variances align with general intent and purpose of the downtown commercial official plan designation.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for this, please? Member Bruno? All right. Thank you so much. And I would call the question. All in favor? That motion is carried. Okay. And we'll move on with the next application. Member Beauregard, are you leaving the meeting, or are you just leaving the you're leaving the building, like going home? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, we have one more before the B12. Do you want to just say? Almost there.
Yeah. Okay, so you're going to hold on. All right. That's good. Okay. So our next application will be B0723PC. It's all yours, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next item is application B07-23-PC. The subject lands are municipally known as 316 Second Concession Road in the Gateway Industrial Zone. The applicant, Timothy Horst, is requesting the committee's consent to sever the subject lands to create a new lot for future gateway industrial uses, while the retained lot would continue its existing residential use. Given the information in the recommendation report, planning staff recommend application B07-23-PC be granted subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the applicant provides the Secretary-Treasurer with the deeds in triplicate for the conveyance of the subject parcel or a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with a paper and electronic copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Number 2, that a final certification fee of $231 payable to the City of Port Colborne is submitted to the Secretary-Treasurer. Number 3, that a master lot grading plan be submitted to the satisfaction of City staff. Number 4, that all conditions of consent be completed by June 14th, 2025. And that concludes the correspondence of this application.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And if I may, Member Bogart, I do believe this application was one of the ones you asked to have moved because you had a conflict.
No, I only had a conflict on the one item.
Just on the one. So was there another reason that you wanted this moved then?
Just because the delegation is very different.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Okay. So,
Same confusion.
yeah, totally. Okay. I would ask the applicant, is the applicant in the room? Would you come forward, please? Could you state your name and address, please?
Tim Hurst, 316 Second Concession Road, Port Colborne.
Thank you. And what would you like to have the committee hear tonight?
I would just like to support my application for the severance of the Plan 1 for just a new property for sale.
Okay, thank you. Committees, any questions or concerns on this? Member Bruno?
Yes, just to our planner, if I could. Chris, so because this is in the Gateway Industrial Zone, when the severance passes, the existing house, so at any time, that could become industrial use without a zoning change because it's in the gateway zone. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Member Bruno, that is correct. So technically, the existing dwelling is a legal non-conforming use in the gateway industrial zone. So if somebody had purchased the house and wanted to do some kind of industrial use, they would be permitted to do so as long as they met the zoning requirements.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Bruno. Anyone else? Member Elliott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not to the presenter, but to Chris. In this consent application, under conditions, there is no mention of the cash in lieu for dedication of parkland. Is there a reason for that?
Through you, Madam Chair. Let's see. To my knowledge, no. In the official plan designation for the Gateway Economic Center, there are no provisions for cash in lieu of parkland dedication as a result of severance. It will be made a condition of any future development, site plan control, or whatever it is that ends up being built. It gets worked into the site plan at that time. So it won't be a condition of the severance here because it's not mandated by the official plan. When we have residential lots like we did with 336 Sugarloaf, it's mandated in the official plan to require it at the consent time, but it's not for the Gateway Economic Center. And even still with the residential severances, we collect the parkland dedication at the time of the building permit currently, or the time of the site plan for residential. So it's the same process. We just don't have the memorandum of understanding for this industrial severance.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? No? All right. I would ask any members of the public that have something to say. Would you just come on forward? Okay, Roseanne, if you would like to give your name and address, please.
Roseanne Shields, 352 Chippewa Road, Port Colborne. I just have a couple concerns with this severance. I My property is directly across concession 2. And I know it says purpose of future industrial with residential development, sorry, 2 major concerns. A substantial amount of truck traffic already exists on concession 2. And where would the access to said property be located? Because you have a lot of traffic coming off the 140 going down concession 2 and crossing the 140 there as well. The fire department stated that providing access to the property may be an issue that can be addressed at the site plan stage. Well, my concern is at this stage too. Also, it states that ingress and egress of emergency vehicles will be dealt with at site plan control. It's the same concern. I do see the traffic there because I live there. There's a lot of just car traffic as well. Subject property is designated as gateway economic. This designation permits transportation and logistics, including facilities related to shipping, receiving, warehouses, offices, manufacturers, showrooms, light manufacturing, laboratories, training facilities, hotels, and similar uses. My concern is based upon the list of uses set out in the Realtor's ad that lists storage facilities, medical marijuana facility. And when I spoke to Chris, he did explain that there are other requirements for the medical marijuana, but it's just, I'd like to know exactly what types of things can go there.
Okay.
That's it.
Thanks, Roseanne. I actually would send that over to staff and see if possibly some of this can be addressed now.
Sure, yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I was just kind of taking notes here. So with regards to the entrance off of the 140, the MTO has provided comments saying that entrances will not be provided off the 140. They're not required to provide an entrance at this time, so it's not really a point of the severance. However, it is important to think about moving forward. And the fire department has stated they might have similar concerns as well. They are issues that can be addressed through site plan, and what they mean by that is typically, depending on the location of the development, the mass of the development, if there's only one entrance and it happens to be blocked for whatever reason during an emergency, typically the fire department would add a condition of sprinklers or a sprinkler system to alleviate with that kind of issue. So when issues arise or when they were speaking towards emergency vehicle access, that's generally what they're referring to. So again, all that stuff can be addressed during the site planning phase because it really all comes down to where the buildings be located. The types of uses, I mean, they are all outlined in the gateway economic zoning requirements. So whatever the permitted uses are in that zone, they don't need to apply for any zoning bylaw amendment. They will need to provide to apply for site plan control for any sort of development that's proposed within the zone. So we will have some type of control over that. And during that review of the site plan control application, we do make sure that all of the provisions meet, all of the developments meet the provisions of the zoning bylaw. I think that hopefully kind of covers some of the questions there.
So for bottom line would be, it will all depend on when the development will be happening. And that's when much of this can be discussed and settled. Yeah, okay. Actually, there's another question here. Member Beauregard, go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair, to our planner. She also mentioned, or the presenter also mentioned a comment regarding traffic, and that was also going to be taken care of at site plan, correct?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. Yes, it is another aspect that we do consider during site plan. Usually what happens, just to elaborate a little bit more, is that usually what happens is they'll come in for a proposal and we'll identify submission requirements during a pre-consultation meeting. So if whatever they've proposed we believe is going to be a very intensive use on the road system, we might require a traffic impact study, in which case they'll have to analyze how their proposal will impact the existing traffic and future traffic. So again, it's kind of another long-winded way of saying we're not totally sure until a development application comes forward.
Okay. Thank you. All right, anything else from the public? No. Melissa, come on forward. And state your name and address, please.
Melissa Bigford, 173 Chippewa Road. I just had a question in the sense of it's approved, and I understand it's going to come back at site plan, but we've already been dealing with something else with the MTO. It doesn't have the distance from the 140 to even have access of the 400 meters. So you're granting approval to something that I don't even know how it gets developed later on, because the MTO does not want traffic coming onto the 140, and it doesn't have the distance for the turning radius, and it's gateway industrial, which is more truck traffic and vehicle traffic, and I don't know then how they meet that 400-meter distance.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the member of the public. So with regards to entrances off of, I guess we'll call them adjacent properties from the highway, in my experience, the MTO has requested that they've had a 45-meter setback from the intersection. So it looks, the property has 73-meter frontage, so they should have more than, although the 73 meters isn't quite to the exact intersection, they do have more than enough space to provide for that 45-meter offset for a potential entrance in the future. So if they do come forward for one, it'll have to be closer to the west side of the property.
I thought it was 400 meters, not 45.
Through you, Madam Chair, not for an entrance, no.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? None? Okay, seeing none at all, I would ask for a motion. Member Bruno?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With respect to application B0723PC, the land's legally known as Concession 3, Lot 25, municipally known as 316 Second Concession Road. The consent application B0723PC be granted subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report dated June 9th, 2023, for the following reasons. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement. It conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the regional official plan, City of Port Colborne official plan, and will also comply with the provisions of zoning bylaws 6575/30/18 as amended.
All right, thank you. And a seconder, please. Member Beauregard? All right, and I would call the question. All in favor? That is carried. All right, Madam Secretary, we will now hear application B1223-PC.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our last item is application B12-23-PC. The subject lands are municipally known as 194 Chippewa Road in the R1 and RD zones. The applicant, Jason Evangelista, and their agent, Barbara Evangelista, are requesting the committee's consent to sever the subject lands to recreate two separate lots which have merged. Given the information in the recommendation report, planning staff recommend application B12-23-PC be granted, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the applicant provides the Secretary-Treasurer with the deeds in triplicate for the conveyance of the subject parcel or a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with a paper copy and electronic copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Number 2, that a final certification fee of $231 payable to the City of Port Colborne is submitted to the Secretary-Treasurer. Number 3, that the applicant applies for a minor variance to request relief from Section 2.14B of the zoning bylaw. Number 4, that the applicant signs the City of Port Colborne's standard memorandum of understanding, explaining that development charges and cash in lieu of the dedication of land for park purposes, based on an appraisal at the expense of the applicant, wherein the value of the land is to be determined as of the day before the issuance of a building permit, is required prior to the issuance of a building permit pursuant to Section 42 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 as amended. Number 5, that all conditions of consent be completed by June 14th, 2025. And number 6, that a revised grading plan be submitted to the satisfaction of city staff. And that concludes the correspondence of this application.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Is the applicant in the room? Please come forward and state your name and address. Could you push the little red button, please?
They're okay.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barbara Evangelista. I live in 194 Chippewa Road.
Thank you. And what would you like the committee to hear tonight?
2 parcels of land have merged, and I would like them to be brought back to the original, the way they were.
Very good, thank you. Members, any questions? No, none? All right. Members of, Member Bruno.
Thank you. Evangelista, did you, back in 2014, did you, is that when you applied to have these, to have a consent done?
No.
So this is
No,
not
this
part
is
of...
just a new thing, yes.
Got it, okay,
Just- yeah,
thank you.
This is just new.
I do have a question. Did these properties merge automatically, or did you actually request the merge?
Oh, no, they just did automatically,
Okay.
we didn't know, and it was the same name,
Yep.
and that's why they merged.
Yeah, okay, thank you. No other questions from members? I would ask for questions or comments from the gallery, public. Okay, you may want to, actually, you might want to trade places for a little bit.
Oh, sure.
Or just have a seat while these
Yeah,
questions are going
go
on.
ahead, Henry, go.
Okay, again, for the record, name and address, please.
Okay. Melissa Bigford, 173 Chippewa Road, Port Colborne. Good evening, Committee of Adjustment members. I'm speaking tonight as to why application number B1223PC should be denied. First of all, I would just like some clarification of an error in the planning report under the official plan section, paragraph 2, page 91 of the agenda package that refers to part 1 and part 2 incorrectly, stating that part 1 has a frontage on a public road and part 2 has frontage on a private lane. It should be the other way as illustrated in the surveyor diagram. Also, further down the page in the bylaw section, the property descriptions are also incorrectly matched to part 1 and part 2. Secondly, I have questions to the accuracy of the application submitted by the applicant. The reason for the proposed transaction being requested is it has always been one lot owned by the applicant and not unknown to him, as shown in the previous applications to the Committee of Adjustment, number B0314-PC, where the new house at 188 Chippewa was granted, with the report stating that the parcel of land having a lot frontage of 19.05 meters and a total lot area of 1.878 hectares is to be retained for an existing single detached dwelling use. I have attached the original application and you guys, surveyor sketch as well as the notice of decision documents, which are city documents, which all members have, showing that it was also on that. Another fact is that the legal description of the property, part of Lot 25 and 26, Concession 2, Plan 59R-12304, has not changed since the original draft plan of subdivision under the applicant's name dated September 30th, 2009. I have attached a copy of that surveyor sketch showing this fact. It is part 1 and 2 as shown in the current application. Also, as stated in the application, the subdivision did not just lapse. Council denied another extension to the plan of subdivision, as the new house being built through the granted severance eliminated access to the proposed subdivision. I would also highlight in the application to the question, have the lands or adjacent lands ever been used as an agricultural operation through where pesticides have been applied to the land? The answer is yes, and still currently being applied. The applicant owner tried to sever this property at the Committee of Adjustment in March 2014 and was denied. Staff and the committee denied the application due to the fact that Part 1 has frontage onto a private laneway, whereas a proposed dwelling cannot be constructed on a lot abutting an unimproved street. The unimproved private laneway is also not wide enough to accommodate municipal services. The new severed lot, Part 1, does not meet Section 2.14A of the zoning bylaw. No person shall construct a building or structure or otherwise use any lot unless the lot fronts on an improved road or lane. Hubbard Drive is a private laneway. And Section 2.14B of the zoning bylaw, which states that no lot creation shall be permitted on lanes within the urban area boundary as designated in the city's official plan. The city's official plan, Section 3.2.4B, states lots created through land severance, which this is, shall have lot frontage on a public road. This application is for land severance and does not front onto a public road. The above application does not follow the policy set out in the city's official plan nor in the city's bylaw. Therefore, the reasons mentioned above and as submitted in the past, the application for consent number B12-23-PC should be denied.
Thank you. I would first, I'm sure committee members have questions, I know I do, but I would like to actually, if it be okay with the committee members, I'd like to have staff address some of those things that were brought forward, because this is pretty serious. So,
just to you, Madam Chair, is there a particular order, just because of the number of questions there, is there a particular order you want me to address them? I've been trying to take some notes here, but I can only write so much.
First and foremost, looking at the past applications, all right, what has changed from then till now to allow this to go forward? Were staff aware of these past applications? Did they try to make themselves aware of the history of the property? If so, what would have prompted them to go forward without advising the applicant that it was maybe not a good idea or whatever? You know, just to be able to just better serve the public?
Sure. Yeah. Through you, Madam Chair, this information was new to me as of the day of this meeting. But just reading through the notice of hearing from this 2014 consent application, the original one, parts 2 and 3 were the proposed lots. It looked like they were just trying to create a lot that don't consist of the lots that we're referring to today. We're concerned with part 2 of this application, which in 2014 was part 1 and part 4, and then part 1 as well in current application, which is part 6 in 2014. So the previous, just to me, my initial glance of this is that the previous applications deal with a different parcel of land that was created in 2014, and I'm not putting together how this is quite pertaining to the severance of this lot, because they were merged. So I'm just a little bit perplexed as to what the 2014 application has to do with this application.
Okay. Possibly, Melissa could explain what she had said,
sure,
and make it maybe a little clearer.
Okay, because the other thing was, I didn't include the ones that were denied. This was the only one that was approved, and then it left the property as a whole. The other 2 applications, which was I have them over there, A-something and another B-04-14 were denied for the reasons that were back here tonight. My concern was also showing, though, that once this got severed, this was the remaining parcel, and they were aware of that.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm not going to comment too much on the denied applications. I don't have much of a record of them. I don't know what the details of them were. It could have possibly been a different application altogether, right? I just think it's important to remember the reason that we're here tonight is that these 2 parcels used to previously be separate, and they have merged over time, like happened to so many other applications and so many other parcels of land. This is really more of a technical amendment as well, just to separate the property on title. Again, important to remember that this is currently kind of existing the way it is, really more of a boundary adjustment type of application, right? We are aware, I took note of the private laneway comment. We are aware of that requirement to create a lot. Going back to this is an existing lot of record, they do have to apply for a minor variance as a condition of the consent, because it is a requirement of the zoning bylaw that they have frontage on a public road. This one does not. It does have a frontage on a private laneway. So they'll have to come back for a minor variance for that, and we can assess that application at the time. But again, going back to the lot used to be existing the way it was, there's not a whole lot of due course for us to look at that application negatively, but we'll have to assess that application at the time that it comes in. Yeah, unless there's other further questions I can...
What about the errors in the report, the planning report?
Yeah, that's my apologies for that. Sometimes when you write 11 reports, you sort of get a couple things together. So just for clarity, I think you mentioned that part 2, I had stated has frontage on a private road.
Yeah, I just think it needs to be clarified, because that's a major thing
Sure.
in the report, and the fact that Under the zoning bylaw, you have that part 1 is subject lands are zoned R1 and part 2 is zone residential
Can
development.
we make these changes and corrections right now, or should the application come back? I think it should come back. I really do. Okay. Melissa, are you finished for right now?
The only other thing is, under the official plan though, isn't that part of tonight too, that it doesn't meet section 3.2.4B?
To my knowledge, through you, Madam Chair, we have no issues with the official plan designation.
Even though it states lots created through land severance shall frontage on a public road?
Right, so through you, Madam Chair, the zoning also dictates the same policy, and zoning bylaw is applicable law. So we do have to follow that, and in most cases, sometimes it does override. So when they come forward for the minor variance, we can address it at that point as well, being that it is one of the 4 tests too, so.
For now?
For now.
Okay, thank you. Member Bruno has something to say, and then I have something to say as well. Go ahead, Member Bruno.
Through you to the planner, what concerns me here after hearing the latest presentation is that it doesn't seem to me that if you turn something back to the way it was, but you don't have the minor variance, if you don't get the minor variance, then isn't this, it's created a lot, which I'd always been told you never want to do, that is basically sterilized. But can this come back with the consent?
Through you, Madam Chair, it doesn't necessarily have to.
Minor variance.
Because as the condition of consent, they wouldn't get their certificate if the minor variance doesn't get approved. So if because they have the 2-year time frame to clear their conditions. So if they don't manage to clear their conditions, the consent application will lapse, and you're not left with an issuing lot, essentially.
Can I ask a question to the applicant? Mrs. Evangelista. Would it not be practical for this to come back, because you're going to need that severance anyways to make this a lot? Then we would have some of the other issues addressed tonight, and you would get a legal, workable, buildable lot.
Well, what I was trying to do is just sever that, just our house from the big property. And I'm not worried about what's going to happen there, because we're not going to build, we're not going to do anything on the big property, just where my house is. This 194 Chippewa Road, there's a little house there.
Right.
And that's what I wanted, to sever the house from that lot. So I'm not concerned about what's going to happen to the lot. With the Hubbard Road lot, that's going to be, another issue probably. Like maybe somebody will buy it or build on it, but it's not going to be, what I'm looking for. I just wanted to get the house, severed from the lot, because they merged.
Right.
The backyard merged with the big property.
Right.
And so now, God forbid that I did want to sell the house, I'm not concerned about the big property, the Hubbard.
Thank you. So back to you, Chris. So I guess I'm just uncomfortable with creating a non-buildable lot when this could all be done, in my view, of creating, like, there's the concern of what, the 2 years, there's the concern of, and then we're back to square one. I don't know if any other member has anything. I'm just very concerned about creating a unbuildable lot. When originally
Excuse me, it was like a subdivision, right? It was
Right.
it was a subdivision.
Right.
But what happened was it had lapsed, so we
Right.
didn't go pursue it. Because
Yep.
we didn't have the money.
Yep,
But now, maybe, whoever buys it, maybe they will want to do it. It could be still, redone,
I see where you're coming from.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, it's not.
Okay, all right,
Like, we don't have the money, the know-how,
sure, okay. Thank you for that, Madam Chair.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, to Member Bruno. I guess I'm just a little unsure as to why you'd think it's a non-buildable lot. Like we wouldn't be creating a lot tonight with the condition that they get a minor variance, because that is ultimately paramount to whether or not this is a buildable lot. And if they come back with the minor variance and for whatever reason it's not supported, then the consent application is null and void, and we aren't left with a lot. We're still left with part 1 and 2 being merged together. Right.
I understand, I want them to have their house severed and be able to do with what they want with it. I was just concerned that, so that remnant then, that part that is going back, does it merge with what was those backlands? Or is it really still all part of that?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm not sure I'm following you with the direction of the parcels there.
So Ms. Evangelista said that, whatever happens to those backlands, and this is another matter for another day for whoever wants to pursue that. So is that remnant then, or I guess maybe remnant's not the wrong word, but the part that isn't their house, that's part of what was that bigger parcel that was going to be a draft plan of subdivision?
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm getting it, but I'd like to hear if there's any other comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I do have some things I would like to say, but first and foremost, I am really, really uncomfortable with going forward with this application. It's really distasteful to deal with applications that have errors in them, and I understand how errors happen, I really do. But at the same time, we are talking about legal documents that have a real impact on not only the applicant but on all the people and families around that application. So we need to make sure that the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed before they come in front of a committee for a decision. That's really important, number one. Number two, there are some things in these, some comments that are made in these former decisions, and I know some of them that I've actually been a part of in the past, and Councillor Bruno sure has. I believe even maybe Member Elliott has, but I know that there's a lot more substance here, and we're just not seeing it. And I'm really uncomfortable with allowing an applicant to go forward with something that could just fall on their face, and then they spent all this money and all this time and invested all this effort for nothing, and we could have avoided it all just by lining everything up and having a couple of pre-meetings. So I would just be far more comfortable to turn this away and go back and have the applicant work with planning staff to see exactly what needs to be done in the right order to do it. If you know that steps 1 through 5 have to happen, but you're going to say, it's okay, we know they have to happen, but we'll do 1 and 2 right now, and then we'll worry about the rest later. No, if we know they have to happen, let's get them in line right now to make sure they can be successful. Otherwise, you set people up for failure, and I'm not comfortable with that. So that's just really what I want to say on that. I will, I think maybe Member Elliott has something to say. I'll let you go, Dave.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My memory's a little bit foggy, but I think I recall when this was before us years ago, there literally is no way to run a municipal road into that property. Zero. You cannot reach your back property with a municipal road because the municipality isn't going to build a road into the back property. Now, I would recommend, not going to say the D word in deferral, but I would almost recommend deferring this until you have conversation with city staff to see if it's even possible to get a road in, because if you can't run a road and services into the back property, there literally is no reason to sever this.
Well,
There's none. You can't build a house on it. You can't access it. You can't do anything without a municipal road. And I believe that was the hang-up part. It was a condition, and that's why it lapsed, because you can't get into that piece of property.
well, the city was going, the talks were that the city was going to take it over, and it would be like a city road. That could be possible. Or if you build townhouses, it could be a condominium road. If, that's what I heard anyways, that's what, at the, when we were supposed to do the subdivision, it was a lot of things that could happen. But that was not my concern, because I didn't really, we're not into this building and developing anymore. I just wanted, but that property has a lot of potential, and there are ways that it could be done. And they were talking to the city, whoever was going to develop it, that, you could have the city take over the laneway or a condominium road, or it was proceeding. But then we just never, because it lapsed, we never got the approval.
Yeah.
So we just let it go,
I think
But
if
there is possibilities. I mean, it's not like it's,
But I'm kind of hearing what the other members are saying, and I would have to agree with them that going through with this consent at the present time and the standing that the property is in would almost make it moot, because even though you have 2 years to fulfill the conditions, I don't think you can fill a condition of access. And then we're right back to square one again. So it would be in your best interests if you could fulfill that condition prior to coming here, somehow get a permit or something that says that you can gain access by a road or some sort, or if somebody, you talk about a condominium, but as we sit right now, there's just no way to get in there.
But the thing is, I wasn't looking for that. You know what I mean? I wasn't looking for the development part of it. I just wanted to sever the merging. So whatever happens to that property, that's going to be somebody else's problem. I think it's not if I sell it or if we keep it. But I'm not building it. I'm not doing anything on it.
But the one condition of consent, of severing it, is that you have to provide access. If you don't provide access, you don't get the consent. Is that correct? Without access to the property, you can't sever it. Is that the fair assessment?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Member Elliott. Yes and no. The condition isn't so much that they provide access, because access is already through that private laneway. The condition is that they apply for the minor variance to request relief from the zoning bylaw that states that it has to have frontage on a public road. It has frontage on a private road, which is technically not conforming to the zoning bylaw, so it's a bit of a yes and no scenario.
So it's actually just the house that I would like to, to sever. I don't, I'm not concerned about the lot, because, whoever wants to buy it or do something, they're going to have to go through the process. So it's, I don't know how it would be. Like, I'm not building on there. I'm not doing anything on it. I just want to get the house severed from the property and go on.
Member Bruno?
Yeah, Chris, I'm sorry. I'm just concerned in something like this, because I don't know enough about the law. I'm concerned when you say yes and no in something that we want to have definitive for the benefit of the Evangelistas and not sterilizing this property. It just seems to me, so currently, Mrs. Evangelista then has a extra large lot. It doesn't preclude the sale of that. It would just come with a bunch of additional lands, including what was going to be the subdivision?
Sorry, through you to Member Bruno. I do want to raise the point of the easement that is over top of the private laneway. Well, I think it's important we don't forget about that, because that is ultimately what is providing access to Part 1.
Yes, they had an easement, yes.
I think there are people here that may be able to speak to that easement.
In the interest of allowing this family to have that severance, could we not hold this abeyance? I know we would have to go to council not to recharge. I don't know all the terms about it wouldn't be a reconsideration, but holding in abeyance. I'm still not sure that I want to create what I still think is a sterilized piece of property. And I can't get that out of my head. I don't know if we need a legal opinion on that. I surely would like to let her get on with her life and have her single-family home be in a position if they wanted to sell or not. I just don't know that, what could become of this? Could it become an isolated property that doesn't pay taxes and then is turned over to the city and is still a no man's land piece of land? I see you nodding your head. I don't want to put the city in that position of inheriting a piece of non-usable land. If it could be, donated, if there was another use, if it gets an extension to the back road. I just don't like things left, I just think, in a lurch. And I think this is a broader issue that I need more technical and legal information on.
Councillor Bruno, I do believe that he's got a point here, and I think that this, I really think that D word should have been said. But if we, I don't know if you want to hear about the easement and some of the information around that or not. If it's something that would be helpful, there is somebody in the room who could speak to it.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Maybe, Mr. Guittard, could you maybe come up and speak to that then, please? I mean, there's a lot of work been done here, so, And you could state your name and address, please.
My name's Jerry Guitar. I live at 3 Hubbard Drive. Been down there since 1947, so I know a lot about Hubbard Drive. I feel sorry for Mrs. Vangelis. I'm not against going back the way the land was, but the city has to help her create 2 lots. I know now the health department wants, 2 acres for a house? What is it? You people know? 2 acres? I think she has 4 acres. Almost 5 acres. I now legally own Hubbard Drive. So you can look it up. People have it on file now. I legally own it. So, and anybody who has land off of Hubbard Drive has access to use it. They cannot change the laneway. They cannot add to the laneway. I've been maintaining it for 70 years. No help to the city, one bit at all. They haven't helped me. Actually, they cost me thousands of dollars over the years. I won't get into that. I don't have objections of her putting it back the way it was, long as she agrees. I know, right? things in a grapevine, there's a couple of young guys from Toronto, all they, easy land, quick money. It cannot be done. I don't know how many times people have tried to make big money. If she was able to do this, she would recoup her money, at least get her money back, and not pay any more taxes. That's what I'd like to see happen. As far as somebody coming in, digging up Hubbard Drive, when the city tried to expropriate Hubbard Drive a year ago, I was pretty upset. And they said that we were just, I don't know, shouldn't be there. But I've been there forever. And I ain't leaving. So I don't object to her splitting it back to where it was so she can sell the other house, sell this, long as she doesn't attempt to sell it as to somebody blind. They think they can put a dozen houses or more in there. You can't get sewers and water down there. It's solid rock. And my little laneway ain't going nowheres. They might have been able to do it before you built the house, maybe, but I don't know. With the sewers and the water and that big reservoir you had to build, it was too much money. And trying to get rid of the water down the railroad tracks, that ain't going to work either. But if the city would help her regarding the health department to put in 2 houses in there. They're going to bring in a lot of dirt. I know it costs a lot of money to do that today, but what else can they do with it? Nothing but 2 houses. That's what I've been waiting for years and years and years. The city of Port Colborne, before she even got involved, I didn't want to bring it up, a friend of mine, I heard that he went in there to buy the land. The guy went to City Hall. The lady at City Hall told him, well, you got to maintain the road. You got to cut the branches off the trees, off the hydro. That was going to be your job. So what did he do? He went to Wainfried, bought 20 acres. So this is what I would like to see happen.
I thank you for speaking to it. The information that was needed was that you do have ownership of Hubbard Drive.
I do have
and there is
ownership of Hubbard
access
Drive.
to the existing house, not to any additional.
Pardon?
I said there is access that people can have to the additional
They can-
setup, but not to anything
It's
additional.
always been that way. Whoever
Yeah.
owns property off Hubbard Drive,
Yeah.
I can't stop him going in and using it. Like
Right.
Mr. Mitchell, he's took
Yeah.
over about 20 feet of it.
Yeah.
You know, and he's kind of, so I leave him alone a little bit.
Okay. Well, I do thank you for that. That it was important that everybody get to hear what the state of Hubbard Drive is.
Putting all this money in there, but the city has to help her with this health department.
Right.
That's all, that's,
Well, and that's what we're attempting to do, is make it so that if she does this, it will be successful, and she won't be finding herself with a failure later on. That's what's important.
that's what I think you should do, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from committee members? No? Anything else from the public? Oh, Melissa, you have something else? Okay. And, okay. No one else used their time, so you're going to get a second round to speak.
Well, I just want the clarification because there's a lot going on. And in the planner's original June 14th report to the application numbers, I didn't do them all because the other 2 were denied. It specifically stated that opinion that would create a lot with no legal access, therefore recommend the consent and minor variance be denied. And it also stated that the applicant should note the development on the property would not leave sufficient width for a future easement to service development on the property to the north. And that's the key. The road is only 30 feet, and you need 65.6 feet to put in municipal services, which was stated at the time by the city's department. And yes, they have right of way, but they have no right of access in the sense of the laneway. And that's what brought up about the city expropriating. But again, it's not wide enough. So I get that she wants to sever, but you're leaving a lot not meeting the bylaws or the planning of the fact that it has no legal access and it can't be serviced, which is reason for not being applied. It can never be severed according to the rules.
But we had a draft plan of approvals.
That was quite some time ago, but, well, I could actually, Member Bruno could probably speak to that as well, but I mean, it's not something that can be brought back to life at this point, so. You go ahead, Gary.
There's three parties here in a situation that needs to be looked at in its entirety. There's the neighbors, there's Mrs. Evangelista, and the city. And if we don't resolve this, or we only resolve a third of it, 2/3 of it's going to come back. And so this is a big enough issue to me to get the director of planning, her staff, legal, and say, so what ultimately can happen here? Because while it's up to the landowners to do their own due diligence, provide their own applications, if it gets messed up here, it has entails to it, and it's going to carry on, and it will be a new issue for the city. When the proper way to look at this is to get everything on the table as to what can be done with this land, who's going to own it, is it sterilized, is it not, what do the lawyers say, because it's too big. I mean, if that thing is left abandoned or owned by somebody, I could easily see it being a parcel that somebody walks away with. And I've seen that happen where municipalities have inherited this problem. People don't pay the tax on it, and then the next thing you know, like, what is it? It's a piece of city land that we just keep cutting the grass on. Like, we'll be putting ourselves in a position if we don't resolve it. So let's not do that. So my suggestion, and Chris, you'll need to help me out, and Diana, is can we hold this in some form of abeyance? I don't blame Mrs. Evangelista. Don't want to see them pay more money to bring it back, but let's try and see a way that we can make everybody potentially happy, or at least everybody's going to walk away with all the information. And if that's some lawyering money, then let's do it and do things right and not create new problems. So, Chris, I don't know if we are able to put this in hiatus or defer it, or what the proper term is.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, the committee ultimately has the decision, of course.
Yes.
I believe you'd probably be referring to adjourning at the request of the committee, which is a bit different to adjourning it at the request of the applicant. There are financial implications if the applicant has requested to defer it or adjourn it. I still don't know the difference between the two words. So if the committee adjourns it, the applicant doesn't need to pay the fee. And then the one thing we have to be careful of is that if the application goes over the span of a year of being deferred, the application is considered to be abandoned, and then they would need to reapply.
Let's make sure that doesn't happen.
All right, so
Let's make sure it happens expeditiously.
I think that Member Elliott will probably be on the same page on this one as well. I think that we all would agree that this needs to be referred to staff and taken to whatever departments are necessary to sit down with not just the applicant, but get some information from the public, because these people that are sitting in the back of the room have a lot of information, a lot of history, and a lot that clearly staff hasn't been able to put their hands on, because most of the staff is new. And that's another thing that's happened. So, and we have to be aware of that. So use their expertise. They've got lots of it. They'll be able to bring you a lot of information. And I'm sure, Mrs. Evangelista, you must have a lot of information at home too. I mean, because you guys have been through this a long time. So make staff aware of all of this. Sit down, we get with legal or whatever's necessary. So we get to the place where all, as Councillor Bruno said, all three parties, the city, the neighbors, and the evangelistas, are all content with what needs to go forward, and nobody is setting anyone up for failure or for further costs down the line or some kind of disappointment. Get it done so that it's done right once. It's just a better idea. Do the pre-work. So can we, I think we can legally refer to staff, can we not? Refer back to staff on this? So adjourning the application, but to referring to staff with that?
Yeah.
I think we can do that. Pardon me? No, we won't be doing anything tonight. It would go back to staff, and all of that would be figured out to to get to a place of satisfaction from everyone.
Not tonight.
Yeah, not tonight. Okay. That would be the idea. So if you could, if anybody has anything to say to that suggestion, could you come up and speak to it, please? We'll take you one at a time.
My name is Kim Vidichuk. I live at 200 Chippewa Road, so just next door to Mrs. Evangelista. I am in favor of deferring this to get everything written up properly, as well as what Melissa said about the lot numbers being kind of switched and the descriptions being switched. My one comment as well, when redoing all of that, if you can clarify perhaps for myself as well as Mrs. Evangelista, in the recommendations, number 3, that says the applicant applies for a minor variance to request relief from section 2.14B of the zoning bylaw. Can that also state somehow, what if it's not granted? Then what? Like, is it just the application? Or is it the successful application?
And it's all questions like that,
Yeah.
and concerns like that would be addressed through this referral process.
Okay.
And you'll be able to speak to all of it, list your questions. I would suggest writing them down and
Right.
making staff, making them available to
So-
staff so that they have something they can work with.
So my understanding would be that before something like this is brought to a meeting like this, we would be able to sit down informally and go through things?
Well, it'll be up to staff as to how they deal with it, like how it is that they want to speak to you about it, or get your information. But before it comes back to the Committee of Adjustment, it would all be sorted out. So when it came here, we could see a very clean, concise application and be able to speak to it right away and make the decision.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking the goal would be. Okay. Remember, Bruno?
I don't want to discount that maybe there are some things with this extra land that perhaps isn't appropriate at Committee of Adjustment. So maybe some of this comes to council to clarify what to do, to put the lands in place for a consent application by the Evangelista. Like, I wouldn't want to lead you astray that only the Committee of Adjustment might be handling this.
Okay.
Because I think we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly. You need like the legal background and
Yeah,
knowledge
there might be
that way.
things that we are not, as a lay committee,
Right.
knowledgeable enough
Just
about.
so we are able to, like you said, not waste any more time, because 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
I understand, like, you want to move on. You don't want to be locked into it.
Yep.
So everybody as a whole to work together to somehow figure this out, legally and sustainably.
The idea is to put you in the hands of the people who do this daily, and they
Okay.
know their stuff. So, they'll be able to work with you and gather information from you. Because like I said, you have a lot you can share with them that they may not have easy access to. So it could be helpful.
Right. That sounds good to me.
All right. So I guess we would need an actual motion from a committee member for this. I thought we better dot our i's and cross our t's since I made that comment earlier.
So, is it a referral back to staff?
Yeah, I just want to add a point. If it's the committee's decision to adjourn, it's either adjourn or defer the decisions that can be made. If it's the decision of the committee to go forward with that, I would recommend making it as concise as possible as to the reason why. That way we have a record of it, so moving forward, if we ever need to go back to see what the decision was, we know why the decision was what it was. Also, it just provides direction moving forward on what the issues were that need to be addressed.
Member Bruno.
A little bit concerned that we don't know all the issues.
Exactly.
That might, and I wouldn't want to entrap us into saying these are the issues and that's the issues that you deal with. And you have a member of the public who comes and says, well, that wasn't one of the ones. We thought it was all good. So I don't want to advocate our responsibility here, but I think, I couldn't put my finger on all of the issues. I certainly could put my finger on some of the issues.
Just don't build a box. Yeah, I think that's basically it. We don't want to build a box. It's simple as, I think the recording of the meeting will be able to tell you quite a lot. It's a matter of just go back to square one and speak to the people and rebuild the case. If the applicant wants to go forward with the exact application that she brought forward today, then there are some issues around that. You just want to make sure that when an application comes in front of us, it's going to be successful. That's the deal. So. Yes.
Just to be clear, I mean, I'm really asking for things to go back to planning staff that may not be the subject of this application. Because to me, it's a broader issue of adjoining properties, things that have gone on for years. And, you may come back and say, you know what, this process was okay. Mrs. Evangelista can sever this, that property can stay with that, but does it really solve the issue of what happens to this backland? And I guess, and maybe that's, Chris, maybe that's not correct for me to ask, because you could say it's not our problem, it's the landowner's problem. But in reality, if we couldn't in a what's the word I'm looking for, a pre-con, advise somebody what they could do with that property, then I still think it's shame on us. Not the committee, the city.
Thank you, Member Bruin. I would agree with what you said there. It comes down to, you don't want to hear, yes, you can do it, or no, you can't do it. You want to hear, how can you do it, and what are the best practices here for everyone? It's just a matter of building a better city, and then you do that by taking these kinds of steps. So
I don't think we answered Chris's.
Yeah, I think we did, yeah. So basically, we're down to, because protocol is very clear, we have to defer. Correct? We must defer, or we can't refer. So we can defer. Do we have to have a condition, or do we have to have a basis?
Sure.
To you, Madam Chair, that was, I think, kind of the gist of my question, is there does have to be a bit of a basis.
Okay.
And it's my understanding that obviously there are some concerns that you still have, and you have questions that are left unanswered regarding servicing access, all that kind of stuff. I guess I was asking for more of a general statement as to adjourned because of those reasons.
We could be adjourning due to an incomplete application with more information is necessary, and an application that may not resolve standing issues. So,
can I just, one other thing? Perhaps that the reason that the committee adjourns is for reasons that have been identified here now, but would it be more appropriate because we have elected members of council on the committee, could council come back and ask about a property matter, this laneway, that issue, like things that aren't subject to tonight? Because, isn't planning going to say, well, you asked for a deferral about the application? Well, yeah, but the application led us to some paths that weren't contemplated, that should be contemplated by the city, but perhaps it's, I don't know. Like, is it a two-pronged thing? I mean, does city council want to get involved in the bigger picture? Because the bigger picture may not all be subject to this application.
Through you, Madam Chair, I don't, it's a tough question to answer. I don't know if it would be entirely appropriate for a councillor to be involving themselves in a committee of adjustment matter, because that's ultimately what it is.
That's good advice, I think.
And the power has been passed down to this committee to make the decision. So I think we should probably just leave it at that.
Okay, so
I like that.
We're back to the deferral, and it was Councillor Elliott or Member Elliott. Are you moving the deferral, or is that coming down the line here?
Yeah, no,
You're going to move the deferral,
and I think the big picture that we want to get to, or the end that we want to get to, is something that satisfies everybody in this room.
Exactly.
The city, Ms. Evangelista, the neighborhood, to see if and when something can be done, built, severed, that it's done correctly, so that we don't come back here again and have the same conversation over again. So if we can get it right the third time, maybe that's the best time to do it. But it just doesn't seem like the pieces don't fit together right now. And somehow, if we want to improve the property or allow you to sever it, to sell it so somebody can have access to it and do something with it, how do we do that in the proper manner? And that's the big question. So until we find those answers, what can be done, how can it be done, is it even possible to do? Or are you just going to be stuck with a really big backyard? So those things, those questions I think have to be answered, and until we get the answers, it's in limbo. So I would defer it until we can, we as a committee get the answers, and we have the conversation with staff. Or does Mrs. Evangelista go and have the conversation?
It's just with that. We get involved only when the
Okay, yeah, so to get, and have somebody reach out to her to have a conversation with her and get it started? I just don't want to leave it up in the air. But defer it for sure.
Okay. Do you want to speak to it first before you
Yes.
second it?
Yes. I think David knows enough about what happened here tonight and the broader concerns to know that if we isolate things on an issue or two to give him some meat on the bone for just to take it back, it's really the concern about this severance, or this consent leading to the sterilization of this larger piece of property, but not limited to.
That could certainly be part of it, yeah.
And he'll have all the points from
And there's
tonight.
just so much more, yes. Okay, well, I'm really very pleased that we have good staff, so let's just go with that. All right, so you're seconded, all right, all in favor? There, that is carried. So at this point, Mrs. Evangelista, your motion has been deferred, which means it's not been denied, but it has not been approved either. So staff will get in touch with you, and the process will begin to try to work out something that is fair and equitable to everyone and make sure that you'll have success in the future. Okay? All right. Okay, so we are back to here. Which piece of paper do I need now? Hang on, got them all over the place here. All right, so we move on to other business. Is there any other business? None? Oh, wow, seeing none. We move on to approval of the minutes. And those would be the Committee of Adjustment hearing minutes for May 10th, 2023.
I'd like to move that.
Moved by Member Bruno, seconded by Member Elliott, like their choices here. All in favor? There we go, it is passed. All right. And then we move to adjournment.
Yes.
Okay, well, you have to move it. Can't just say yes. All right, so moved by Member Bruno, seconded by...
Boy, I guess I better say.
Yes, you better. Member Elliott. Okay, we're